Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. In today's story, OP reaches out to Reddit because her ex had left her at the altar and then after a couple of years reached out to her. She doesn't want anything to do with him and she's moved on, but she's really curious about what he has to say. Reddit, as usual, was able to give some really good advice, but also the update was a little shocker. I do hope that you enjoyed this story. If you do, please leave a thumbs up. And before you go, I just wanted to take a second and thank all of my subscribers. Thank you so much. You guys are so amazing. For those of you that don't know, I have a personal goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you like my content and would like to support me, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and on to the story. My ex-fiance wants to meet up after leaving me at the altar 4 years ago. Basically, 4 years ago, I, a 29-year-old female, was supposed to be getting married to my fiance at the time. Let's call him Jay. Everything was going perfect. I was in my dress, had my makeup on, and had taken pictures with my bridesmaids. I was pretty much ready to walk down the aisle when Jay's best man pulled me aside and said that Jay was gone. He had gotten into a car and left, and no one was able to get a hold of him. I came home to our apartment and all of his stuff was gone. He's been pretty much a ghost ever since he left me, and I had to force myself to move on. I ended up going on our honeymoon with my best friends, which was the best decision ever. And then I put myself in therapy to heal the horrible trust issues I now have. I haven't heard from him once until today. I guess he got back in contact with an old mutual friend who gave him my number. Jay texted me and said that he wants to meet up and apologize. He says that he has a lot to explain to me about what happened that day. I'm torn. I swore Jay was a dead memory, but my curiosity and desire to get closure with him is pestering me. My current boyfriend supports me and whatever I decide, and I feel that out of respect for him and how wonderful he's been, I should ghost Jay. I'm very confused. I never expected to hear from Jay again, and I have no idea what to do. Please help. One Redditor said, "What can he say to you that will improve your current situation? At best, he tells you that he was a coward and that he regrets that he puts you through the pain. But that's the best case scenario. He could complain about how you quote-unquote drove him to make that decision. You could place the blame for it on loss of attraction to you because you did X, Y, and Z. He could beg to you to take him back. I think you've moved on. This invitation is to give him some peace. You don't owe him anything." Another Redditor said, "Well, no one can decide this for you. Don't worry about what your boyfriend thinks. He supports you. The unfortunate thing here is that you don't know if you're going to come away from a meeting like this with more closure, or if you're going to come away from it distraught, because the excuse that he gives is a whole lot of nothing. Would it be easier to have a phone call or a text? I would go to the meeting just to hear the apology and find out what he has to say. Then I would close the door and just make sure that he knows that I don't want any more contact. Or you can do the petty thing and ghost him right back. My question is, what on earth is your quote-unquote mutual friend who gave him your number? I would talk to this person and ask them what their intentions are. Usually you would ask someone, "Hey, is it okay if I give X, Y, and Z your number for such and such purposes?" And you would say yay or nay. Did you give permission for this? That person owes an explanation too. Let us know what you decide to do. We support you either way. Also, I kind of want to know what his reason was too. There are like literally a million moments before you get to the altar to realize that you don't want to commit just then. What the heck? Another Redditor said, "He's doing this for himself, not you. We all have a psychological need to not be the bad guy in our own lives. Him asking to explain to you is all about redeeming himself. Maybe he truly does believe that it will help you in some way, but the core reason is to assuage his own guilt. For your own sanity, you need to completely close this chapter of your life. If you really want to throw this guy a bone, Tell him to send you a letter with what he has to tell you, but that you won't be replying and this is the last time you two will ever converse. Then burn the damn thing instead of reading it. There's nothing that he has to say that won't hurt you in one way or another. First off, I just want to thank everyone for the advice. I honestly wrote the post just to vent my frustrations and confusion and possibly get advice. I then proceeded to forget about the post for a few days until my sister and I were talking and she mentioned that she saw a post from some girl getting left at the altar and her ex showing up again years later. I told her that it was mine and she has been pushing me to do an update post. I figured that it might be therapeutic to write everything down as a final closing of the J chapter. This all happened 2 weeks ago. Against most of the advice, I did meet up with Jay. As a lot of you said, it did not add any value to my life. Also, it was part of a 12-step program and he was making amends. We met up at a park and my boyfriend came with me. He sat off to the side while Jay and I talked. I actually feel stupider after meeting with him. There were a lot of things in our relationship that would have had me out the door if I paid more attention and if he wasn't such a great liar. Basically, for the last year of our relationship, he was dabbling in illicit substances and cheating on me. He had been struggling with his sexuality for years, and it's not surprising that it ended up this way now knowing the truth. His family was incredibly homophobic and a horrible people. I wanted nothing to do with them when we were together, but he insisted on them being around just for the big life events, like our wedding. The substances were something to get him through the day and act like he was in love with me when actually he was in love with someone else. He had met his boyfriend at work and I had actually met him a few times when I dropped off lunch for Jay. When our wedding approached, his boyfriend said that he needed to choose and Jay chose him. So he packed his bag up and pretended everything was great until his boyfriend picked him up and they moved 2 towns over. I asked him if he was still with his boyfriend and he said no. He thought that he could quit the substances once he was free of his family and all the lying, but he couldn't. His boyfriend found out and left him. He kept going, getting high and hooking up with randoms. One of his regular hookups ended up ODing while they were asleep in the same bed, and they passed away, and that was when he realized that he had to get sober. He apologized for not just being honest with me and leading me on like he did. He wished that he could go back and be truthful because I would have been the most accepting of him being gay out of everyone. He said that he missed me when he left because even though he didn't love me romantically, I was his best friend. It was a lot to take in. I told him that while I'm glad he's okay and is doing better, I'd prefer for us to not have any contact moving forward, but that I do forgive him. He said that he understood and he was only in town for a few more days and he'd be gone for good again. I'll admit, when I got home I cried. My boyfriend held me and ordered me my favorite takeout. He's been really the best and didn't want to pressure me to talk about anything until I was ready. So if I got anything out of the worst day of my life, it's led me to who I'm with now. So guys, what did you think about this? Honestly, first off, I think OP is incredibly strong. Being able to heal from such a traumatic event shows extreme strength in character. And also, her new boyfriend is amazing. I'm so glad that she was able to find him and have her happily ever after there. That being said, if I was ever in OP's position, and I cannot imagine possibly being in it, but if I was, I honestly couldn't resist. Like, I'd really want to know, you know? There were a lot of horror stories in the comments about people that went through similar things and had no value added to their life. But the sheer amount of power that curiosity has over me would really make me want to go. Anyways, what did you guys think about this? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'd really be interested in seeing what your take would be and if you'd go and see your ex-fiance if you were in OP's shoes. Anyways, I do hope that you liked this story. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.